I experienced that day with that dog is what every single one of us has. And if you haven't experienced things like this, then your day will come. And I think it's really important that we put all this stuff into the interwebs. So it kind of connects us all, and it kind of also helps the new groomers entering the industry to hear all these stories, to connect us all, and to share it kind of with the world. And that's my hippy-dippy explanation of my feelings on that.
This is Grooming Unleashed. I'm your host, Ryan Alvarez. Our guest for episode 4 has made a name for herself, not only on social media, but in the competition world as well. Starting her own mobile grooming business after years of study, passion, and debt in the bustling city of Manhattan, our guest has a love for people, animals, and Burning Man. This is a two-parter because the conversation beautifully flows unscripted. We're very excited to have our guest for episode 4 on Grooming Unleashed, Laura Jayne. Hey, you found us. This is Grooming Unleashed, where we learn and talk about the ins and outs of the pet grooming industry. From pro groomers and salon owners to show hosts and dog handlers, we'll jump into the stressful and crazy stories of the day-to-day operations of the crazy world of grooming. I'm your host, Ryan Alvarez. Our podcast is sponsored by Loyalty Pet Products. Loyalty Pet Products provides quality grooming tools and accessories at an affordable price. From shears to stripping knives to smocks and hammocks, Loyalty Pet Products has an essential tool to fit your expectation and style. Use code UNLEASHED to save 10% today. Loyalty Pet Products, uniquely designed, beautifully priced. This is Ryan Alvarez with Grooming Unleashed. This is episode 4. Our guest today is Laura Jayne from Coast to Coast. It's the mobile groomer you love the most. What I wanted to know is, so we have Laura Jayne Saba, Laura Jayne Taylor, Laura Jayne Massaro, and I think we should just call you Laura Jayne with the master plane.
Oh, I love that. I am a woman of many names.
Are you on the run?
No, I'm not. Sometimes from myself, but no. And funny thing is prior to like 2013, 90% of everyone that knew me as just Jayne. And when I had opened up my business, I kind of just adopted my full name, which was Laura Jayne, and it could help me tell the difference of who knows me from before the grooming and before diving into the grooming industry like heavily, and just who knew me just from life itself.
Awesome. No, I was just partly kidding on that. So most recently, I want to congratulate you on being nominated for Barclay's Honors for Vlog, Blog, or Podcast of the Year for Memoirs of a Mobile Groomer. So how stoked or surprised were you when you found out that you were nominated for that?
First of all, that was like an award in itself, like literally to have just my name in the same category as the amazing Terry DiMarino, a fellow New Yorker. She might be on the East Coast or the West Coast now, but she freaking legend. And just to have my name just a couple below her was really neat. The grooming professors, Groom Pod, Helen Problems. Helen's a near and dear friend of mine, so it was really just awesome to have my friends who, I've known at the shows, is actually her presence online has always been really quiet. And I'm so happy she got herself out there and she started putting the awesomeness that I know as Helen, her quirky personality and just the amount of education that she just really just comes out of her pores. And she really breaks it down stupid style so people like me can learn from her very easily. So I was so happy to see her putting it out there and, for the industry to be able to just see what I see with her. So I was really happy that she got nominated in a bunch of other divisions because it was like, I was so excited for myself. I'm not gonna lie. We all have that little bit of narcissism in us, but we're like, yay, me.
Yeah.
But I was little like, I really wanted Helen to win this because she's just so amazing. And I just encouraged her so much for her to, you need to start putting your stuff out. You need to start sharing what you do and everything because you have so much to offer. And I was like, I don't want to win and have her not win. And if I don't win and she wins, I'm going to be so happy. But she also got nominated in a bunch of other things. So it was like, I wasn't stressing about it too bad. And yeah, she, you know what, she's, if anybody who's listening to this, if you haven't, check out Helen Problems, check out her blog. Like she's just great. She really is.
Awesome. Now, do you feel like because you did get nominated and you were recognized, but you didn't win, do you feel like there's a little bit more of a fuel to just do a little bit more to try to get over the top this upcoming year?
You want to know what? You know, like when I was at Burning Man and I was mulling over this, like the entire week, I was thinking like, wow, I got nominated for something. And it was actually like a nice push for me to like finish the project of Memoirs of a Mobile Groomer. Mm-hmm. It was a positive push for me to really get that, you know, fire under my butt to do what I needed to do. But you know what? The one thing, something out there that really touched me, and I found this art installation, and it was always really cool, like little sayings that were painted on you know, on pieces of wood. And there was this saying that was painted on one of them. It said, "Your life is not measured by how brightly you might shine for one glorious moment as the sun, but rather of how beautifully you add your light to the universe, the stars, and the evening sky." And that, it stayed with me, like it stays with me now. It really wasn't about, you know, Laura, Jayne, Saba, Macero, Taylor, Memoirs of a Mobile Dog Groomer. It wasn't just about wind down Mondays. It wasn't just about the grooming professors, Helen Problems, Groom Pod. It's not just about us. It's about all of us as an industry. Everything we put into media, the internet, Twitter, Instagram, our stories, our texts. It's not just about us. It's not just about me. It's about all of us. The social media as a whole has just allowed us to really pour what we all experience. And, you know, the thing that I wrote, the story that I wrote, you know, yes, it's my own story, but it's not special or unique. It's all of our stories. Mm-hmm. What I experienced that day with that dog is what every single one of us has. And if you haven't experienced things like this, then your day will come. And I think it's really important that we put all this stuff into the interwebs. So it kind of connects us all, and it kind of also helps the new groomers entering the industry to hear all these stories, to connect us all, and to share it kind of with the world. And that's my hippy-dippy explanation of my feelings on that.
Well, no, you mentioned earlier about how like somebody had to dumb something down for you. You just dumbed it down for me so that I understood that quote. Because it's really what we. I would have never remembered all those words. I would have just remembered, okay, sun, stars, something. So, got it.
Yeah.
It's funny though that you say that, you know, like we're doing everything to benefit each other. Because I just mentioned in my last episode 3, that, you know, life in itself is cyclical, but, you know, teaching others is the same exact thing. So something that I might learn, even though I'm not a groomer, I might learn something that I can go ahead and pass on to someone else, which ironically, mm-hmm. I've been asked to speak at 2 of the upcoming shows, one in Atlanta Pet Fair and then one at the, I think it's the Palmetto Grooming Expo in Hilton Head, South Carolina. And mm-hmm. I'm honored, but I hope I just can capture and keep the audience after I say, first off, I'm not a groomer, but I know mm-hmm. there's things that I can pass on that are going to benefit them business-wise or just
100%.
You know, and it's absolutely true. And real quick, I know that you're the guest and I'm talking your ear off here, but I feel like with me, because my wife is a talented groomer that is just now finding her voice, I'm looking for those people, like diamonds in the rough that are just kind of hiding. And I so want to find them, like lift them up if they want it. You know, not everyone wants the spotlight, but because then when they get to that point and they have that confidence, they're going to be able to pass it on to other people.
Well, and you're absolutely right. And you want to know what? Like, here's a prime example to carry on with what you said. You know, there are so many different facets of grooming. So you have the act of, you have a groomer, and she grooms dogs. You have a business owner, and say that business owner doesn't groom dogs and wants to understand what goes on in that groomer's head, so that groomer can be a happy, productive worker. Then there's groomers that both groom and do the business side, and maybe they don't know as much about business as the business owner, that doesn't groom.
Mm-hmm.
So you can connect the business owner that's frazzled, being the jack of all trades, being the accountant, being the bookkeeper, being, the groomer, the customer service person, the maid, the laundry person, the mental health specialist. I mean, like literally every single hat that they have to wear until they make themselves crazy. Creative brained people need the people that might only be numbers and facts and pen and paper and black and white, to understand their way of thinking so they can run their businesses efficiently. And, the same instance, the person that doesn't understand the creative sides of things, the heart of the business, they need those people to guide them so they can marry those two together. So like basically with this, example, the industry needs all people. It's not just if you know how to cut dogs' hair or not, or if you understand customer service or not. This industry needs all the help and support so we can all continue to grow on this path that has literally since 2006 has just been on the up and coming.
Totally agree.
So your position that you're in is a great one because, everybody has their talents and has their capabilities. And, every time I go to a trade show, whether I take the class or not, even if I'm just walking around, talking to my vendors, talking to different people, I always take something from someone every single time, like clockwork.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. And then that was what my entire episode 3 was all about. You need to go to a trade show. You have to, just for
absolutely.
The connections, stepping out of your comfort zone, everything. So for you listeners, please check it out. It's not even that long of an episode, but there's 5 bullet points of why you should go if you've never been to a trade show or a competition even. So Laura, tell us a little bit about your upbringing and like what led you to get into grooming in the first place.
It's really funny. Like ever since I was a child, and I'd say like 90% of all dog groomers have this story. There's just a natural draw to animals. In the beginning, it was their husbandry. I was really into building reptile tanks, like researching everything that they needed in their natural habitat, down to the type of rocks, the types of bedding, the type of plants, learning the climates they needed. And I absolutely loved doing it. I ended up having at one point over 70 reptiles, and taking care of them was my everything. And I loved every moment of it. I was leaning more when I was a kid towards like working in a zoo, working with exotics. I really didn't, beyond, working at a science center and learning all these things that I'm explaining, but it really didn't go into much more than that. So I ended up having a job at a kennel in Connecticut where I bathed all the exit dogs, blow dried them, shedless treatments if the groomers needed help, with shaping down cats. Ironically, I learned hand stripping before grooming. I didn't really understand it. They just said, pluck this dog, and I would pluck it, and it would be happy, and that would be it. And that was as a teenager. I was a bather, and I was a bather probably until I was about like 19, and the groomers would teach me a little more here and there, so I could do their prep work for them. So bathing, brushing nails, ears, teeth, sanitary trims, putting out pads.
Were you working at UPS at this time also?
Yeah, so actually that happened when I went to grooming school. So I worked as a bather, and I made a decision that even though I had like a very good intro to dog grooming, that I wanted to go to grooming school and get that piece of paper. So I went to Connecticut Canine Institute and I wasn't grooming at that time, but I was working at UPS, which honestly, like, yeah, it's not something I would do for a life career, but like if I did not have a business, I would totally work there like 8 hours a week for those health insurance benefits, because literally, even in 2003, like I was making like $22 an hour. I used to go in the trucks. I didn't have to people or anything. In the trucks, they would toss me little boxes, and I would just like Tetris everything in and then leap over that section and then push in the other one. And the great workout, shifts were short, pay was good. And I could work at 4 o'clock in the morning. I could work at 8 o'clock at night. It didn't matter. So it didn't interfere with my grooming school. And, you know, I just, like, I don't know, dog grooming just didn't seem like this is just some kind of BS job for me. It just, you know, it always made me happy, and I always could see myself doing it. It just wasn't, at that time, it wasn't a real profitable job. So it was mainly like, this is my dream. It makes me happy. I want to keep learning as much as I can, but this is definitely not paying the bills. So, you know, I always had a foot in food and beverage as well, and worked as a bartender in many different types of establishments off and on for a good 10 years.
And that all goes back to customer service. So, I mean, you're still learning things and the tricks of the trade. So.
Absolutely. And it was an industry I absolutely loved. And even when things were stable in my industry and it started blowing up, I continued to bartend at many restaurants in Miami Beach, rooftops. And it wasn't until I moved back up north where I was like, okay, I don't need to have 2 jobs. The city does not stop. I'm stable enough. I don't need 2 jobs. But yeah, it's just always been this part of my life, like an appendage, and I've just never been able. I think once you do it, it's like in your blood for life. There's no getting rid of it.
No, I completely understand. It's you know, I did some research on you, and I know that it said that for you, Manhattan was like just a dream place to live. Why is that?
You want to know what? So I grew up in Connecticut, and so there's nothing to do in Connecticut. So most Connecticut kids, what they do is they hop on the train and they go to the city. And so New York was like my second home. Late 1990s, early 2000s, New York was like my world. It was my dream to live there and be there. And when I was in grooming school, you know, a little side story, there was a groomer that came to my school to do a presentation, and they did they talked about their van, it was through Wagon Tails, and she said, yeah, I'm my own boss. I don't have to deal with anything. I just do as many dogs as I want to in a day. I have this freedom. I get to really enjoy the dogs. I don't have to do a ton of them. And I was like, that's it. That's what I want to do. You know, I was like, I can't do it now. I don't have enough experience and I don't have enough money, but I'm going to do this someday. And, you know, I for whatever reason, you know, like New York was the place that I wanted to be. When it came time to move and to move on and to go places and to see new places, I chose Miami Beach. And so I packed up my car and I drove until, you know, land pretty much ended. And I called Miami Beach my home until 2012. And then, you know, during that time, I wasn't going to any trade shows. I was working by myself a lot. The economy was really unstable after the recession down there. And it was like I literally put my life and my professional growth on hold. I mean, I still loved my job. I still loved what I was doing. And, you know, by night I was slinging drinks, and by day I was fluffing up the pups. And, you know, I had an exciting, beautiful life down there, and I don't regret any of it. But the second I had enough, I was like, all right, I can't live in this vacation destination anymore. This is not doing anything good for me. Getting too old for this. I need to go. And I wanted to go to New York, but I was like, I know for a fact I am not good enough. I need to learn how to deal with code that's more than an eighth of an inch long. I need to get back into my scissor work, and I got a road ahead of me. So I went to Washington, D.C. first. D.C. was fun. It was interesting. And I also had to get used to waking up before 1 p.m. It's a very different kind of life in South Beach. And I needed to readapt to like waking up really early in the morning, dealing with a different environment, dealing with city folk. And excuse me. So I went to DC first. I got a place like right in DC proper. Did the same thing, slings drinks by night, and during the day I groomed dogs. And I started going to trade shows like it was my freaking job. And I just started absorbing everything. I'd go to a trade show, I'd buy all the things, buy all the stuff, take all the classes, buy all the books, and I would go and practice on all my clients. And, you know, when I felt confident enough, I was living in both DC and New York, and I was going back and forth between both cities. I found a shop, and I was just very honest with them. I said, hey, listen, I'm not bad, but I'm not perfect. And I'm eager to learn. And, you know, and this place took me in, and it wasn't the right fit for me. It wasn't an ideal work environment, but I did learn a ton. It just wasn't a place that it was going to be a long-term thing. And I didn't want to commit myself to something I didn't see myself happy in. So I found another shop, and a really nice groomer, like she said, you know what? She told the owner after she evaluated my work, she's like, all right, that's good. And hey, she might actually be listening to this right now. Her name is Margarita Chung. She took a look at my work, and she's like, all right, she does good cuts. She does a good job. Her heads need work. Her heads look bad. I can fix it though. She's got a real rough Brooklyn accent. I love it. Chinese, and literally when she talks to her family, she talks in Chinese, and then literally when she's done talking to her family, she's talking to you. She's got this rough Brooklyn accent, and it's hilarious. It's like night and day. She works with me. I learned a lot from her, and just kept on going to trade shows, kept on just pouring my heart into my work, and the thing that's great about New York is you've got dogs, tons of coats. So you're really able to practice. It isn't like you pleading with your clients, like, please let me grow your dog out from a 7F, or please brush your dog, or please come more than once every 6 months. Like our clients in New York, dogs have inches of hair. So you have the chance to actually really just get your hands in and just practice.
Right.
So it just kept on growing and kept on growing and kept on improving. And when I felt like I was ready enough, I was like, all right, I'm ready to open Hair of the Dog. And Hair of the Dog was born. And it's been literally, I've eaten, slept, and breathed it nonstop since 2015. And it's been such an incredible journey. I literally, I didn't know you can thank, you know, an inanimate object, but this business, you know, it saved my life. It completely uplifted me as a person. And I never thought it could go as far as it did. And I see it happening with other people too. And it's just such a beautiful thing of watching other friends of mine over the years go through this journey as well. It just does something for you in exchange for this beautiful thing that you build for yourself. It takes pretty much your soul and your time. Mm-hmm. But what it gives you in return is something you just literally can't even form into words.
Yeah, I mean, besides being a career, it's definitely it's an art form. You know, every groomer is different. They have their own little spin on things. They have their own little style, and that's what makes the industry so unique, and it's awesome.
Oh, it does. It totally does, 100%.
You've mentioned before, you know, that you had to go into debt to pursue your dream of being a mobile groomer, in Manhattan. And I believe I heard you mention $100,000 mobile grooming van. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Yeah, my road to getting this van was not an easy one. It was not an easy one.
How much did that debt weigh on your mind as you were grooming?
You want to know what? I have to say that, you know, I obviously, like, you know, I did all the right things, and I applied for the loan. I got approved for it. I just got the surprise that, oh no, it's just not going to be 10 grand down. You need to pay for 50% of the van. I was like, oh snap. wasn't prepared for that. And I was like, we all know how these things work. The loan's only good for 30 days. You already put your credit to the ringer. It's a blemish on your credit that you just even thought about applying for something. So I started I took, a Prosper loan, a Fundora loan. I said, so I literally built this on debt. And it wasn't with a lack of prep. I had savings put aside for that down payment and for, 6 months of operational. And I was keeping my main job, my main source of income part-time until hair of the dog was stable. But it really wasn't that it was weighing on my mind. It was more like, I am taking nothing. None of this is for me. This all needs to go to pay back all those debts. You pay back every single one of them. And that's exactly what I did. Like, my tips were my only source of income for pretty much a year. That was the only thing I took for myself. Now, granted, 20% of what we charge, like most of our clients tip 20%. So like our clients take amazing care of us, but it was scary. It was scary when you're used to, as a dog groomer, making a comfortable 6 figures. I mean, it's expensive to live here. You get taxed to the nose. Everything costs money. Problems happen all the time, but I was comfortable. Mm-hmm. And that comfort was gone because I was just no paycheck. It was just, everything's going back to the business, paying off the debts, keeping the image of the business, making sure I have the best shampoos, the best accessories, the best products, the best everything, making sure that whether I had clients booked for those couple of days, that I was out there and I was shaking people's hands, kissing babies, doing, like a desperate politician, like screaming for attention, like just trying to get
the
people
bubble
to,
machine.
Right.
Yeah, I heard about the
Exactly.
bubble machine. Yeah.
There's a bubble machine. I used to literally cook bacon and I would literally rub it all over my hands. I'd sprinkle it in my pockets, rub it on the steps, and sprinkle it on the freaking sidewalks. And the dogs were walking down the sidewalk, do, and they would just dive into the van.
That's
It would totally dive in the van. It was hilarious, but I actually really did it. Dominique Castillo can verify this. Wow. And yes, no dogs were hurt in my unsuspectful baconing. It was hilarious, but like literally, just everything went back into the business, everything, absolutely everything. And it was on my mind, but it was, I was just amazed at how quick everything just kind of came together. And that's why when I survived that and paid off all the debts, did it again. Except the second time wasn't as bad. It wasn't like, oh, you need to come up with 53,000. It was, all right, we need 18,000. I'm like, okay, we can do that. So
we need 49 this time. We'll take 49.
You want to know what? Like, I actually have some of the most incredible clients you could possibly imagine. I mean, I live in the self-proclaimed greatest city on earth. So, there's so many innovative, genius people that we service. And some are big time business people. Some are CEOs of Fortune 500s. There's some genius minds whose poodles and doodles that I groom and whatnot. And, sometimes I'll talk and get, air out my problems, frustrations, or need ideas, or need help or assistance. And, there was this one particular client, husband and wife, both extremely wealthy, extremely successful business owners. And, I was ranting and raving about something, about employees, city, about life, about everything. And I took a deep breath, and she didn't look up from her phone. She periodically, while texting a million words a minute, said, I just want to let you know I am listening to every word you're saying. I've got something going on with an attorney and something going on with one of my buildings, and I just need to address this, but I'm actually listening to every word you said. And she would always say it every 2 minutes, just to make sure, just so you know, she'd repeat back what I said, which I was impressed with in itself. And she's got literally like a BlackBerry in one hand and an iPhone in the other, and she's texting 2 people at the same time. And I'm just like, oh my God, yeah. What are you taking so I can take it? Because I need to be the sufficient. But anyways, she took a big sigh. She had a big sigh. She looked up and she's like, I'm really, really sorry that I had to be on the phone during the entire time that you were telling me about everything. And I'm going to give you my advice. In 1 second, I just need to say that, I had to pay freaking $80,000 for an elevator issue in one of my buildings. And then looked up, and he's like, anyways, this is what you're going to do. So anyways, at that moment when she said that, there was a pause because she took a big sip of some scotch, and there was a pause, and I immediately in my head, I was like, you know what? Doesn't matter how successful you are. Doesn't matter how many zeros are in the bank account. Doesn't matter how high your credit score is. Doesn't matter how successful you are. You're always going to have problems. The problems when you're a person of having a little less money, a little less revenue. Your problems are going to be smaller, but they're still going to have the same impact on your life. So nobody is exempt from this. We all have problems. The rich have problems. The poor have problems. The corporations have their problems. The small business owner has their problems. We all have the problems. It's how you manage to just keep flicking your wrist and punching that punching bag and just letting it bounce back, and you hit it back so it doesn't knock you over. And so my entire experience of having this business has just been instances like that, where, you know, I find a person who I decide to share with her. I learned something. What she said isn't what resonated with me. It was great stuff, but it was just cookie cutter, you know, hang in there. We all got this. It's okay, one step at a time, just like the drunks say. But it was when she complained about the elevator and she just sighed and she just rolled with it. I was like, damn, that's a lot. That's a big problem. But it's just like water off a duck's back. Now, it may be because she's in fact a billionaire. It may be because she's used her entire life. It's been about her businesses and what happens. But it's the fact that it just shows that you don't have to sweat everything. You just get up. Everybody puts their bra on one boob at a time, and you just get out there and you do what you need to do with your day, and you don't let it kill you.
Well, I don't put my bra on that way, but anyway, what is some what's some really good advice in like one key sentence that you could give somebody who is considering going into mobile grooming? So like a sentence for the ages, I guess you could say, from what you've learned.
You want to know what? The best piece of advice I can give is actually the piece of advice that's always given, and seldom do people take it. So there's something I can add to it, so maybe it can make it easier for people. Start off charging as much money as you possibly can. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. Whether you're a award-winning superstar Lindsay Dickens dog groomer, or whether you're working at Shave Down Sally's, you make that experience special so you can say, I'm confident with my prices. Before even opening the business, before getting that LLC, before putting the down payment on, stand in front of your mirror, look in it every single day and say, my name is blah, blah, blah. I'm the owner of blah, blah, blah. Our prices start at $150. And say it with a smile and say it with confidence. And the phone will get hung up on you. Or somebody's going to say, oh my God, I don't even pay for my own hair. Laugh it off. It's not your problem. Be prepared for hang-ups and no's. I'm not interested. I'm not paying. And be fine with it. And then you'll start getting the people that will be like, oh my God, that sounds really, that's cool. Let's do it. You'll get the people that don't care about how much it costs. Then they'll tell their friends.
Right.
Then they'll tell their friends. Never sell yourself short, because when you sell yourself short, you have to eat. Not going to swear. I had a pep talk with myself before doing this. When are you going to swear on the show?
No, you can swear. Just, I mean, we're not going to be pirates out here, but you can swear.
Yes, but literally that you're not going to eat a spoonful of poop every day for a year because you misquoted, because you doubted yourself. I know incredible mobile dog groomers. Aunt Carla, her and her husband. She made her husband quit his job to be her bather, and she's killing it. She's in Lexington, Kentucky. She charges exactly what I do. She's a quirky, funny lady. She does a reasonable amount of work every day. She does not sell her services for cheap. And every time I get somebody that says, you're in New York, it's why you can get that. I'm like, that's complete BS. She's in Lexington, Kentucky, and she is freaking killing it. Sometimes she charges more than I do. And so that's my biggest thing I can tell people is don't sell yourself short. Don't feel bad. Don't have a bleeding heart for everyone. If you want to feel good and have say, I want to be able to do a community service, there's nothing wrong with that. You pick 5 people that you really just care about, and you totally take a bath financially every time you see their dog, and you do not charge enough for it, but you like that person, and it makes your heart feel good and makes you feel right with whatever, don't mind my little chihuahua, so the pizza man is here and he's all excited.
I'm going to keep that.
I am very sorry. So
don't be sorry.
It's you pick those people that make you feel good, but you don't make a habit of it. This is a business, and your hands are only going to last you so long.
Right.
You can't sell yourself short. Do volunteer work once a week if it makes you feel good. But when it comes to your business, you need to charge accordingly. It's getting expensive to run a business, like above and beyond. Some of the new regulations and things that have changed and affected my mobile business in the city, I have to raise my prices to a degree that I can't even do so in a text message or a letter. I am going to literally come into their house, sit on their couch, hold their hands and say, take a deep breath. This is going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot. Yeah. But I still love you. And if you leave, I understand. But that's at the end of the day, it's a business. It's a business that makes us all feel good. At the end of the day, charge as much as your business needs, what you need to survive, what you need to thrive, and what you need to be able to retire at the appropriate age of whatever you think good.
Yeah, and it's always easier to start off with a higher price and then slowly like have sales and things like that, as opposed to starting too low and then shooting it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Customers that way. Unless you're Sally,
yep.
Shave Down Sally, if you're listening, keep your head up. You can improve.
Yep. Yeah, not literally. It's you know what? There's this thinking that like, hey, if you're not doing a beautiful job, if you're not perfect at your skill set, that you can't charge more. No, you can still provide a good service. If you're not the best and you're still learning, nothing wrong with that. You provide a specialized service, excellent products, excellent things included in the service, good for the dogs, take photos, take pictures, make goodie bags, have accessories, whatever it is. And your grooms will get there. People ask how long I've been grooming. I've been washing dog butts since, for literally 2 decades. I've been grooming well to the point where I can go, oh God, this is okay. I'm happy with this for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
8 years there, I can just say like, yep, I'm happy with this. So, it's the biggest thing that when I look online, it breaks my heart. I see people doing dogs that take 2 hours for $35. I'm not over exaggerating. And it's just, it's people, it's a combination of people they're scared to. They don't think their community's incomes can support it. Or maybe they don't feel like they deserve it, or, whatever it is.
Those are the ones that they tend to get burned out. They phase out of the industry too soon, and they could have been an amazing groomer. And they were trying to grow too quickly. And unfortunately, they're out, 6 months to a year, and it's not fair to them, but it's definitely not fair to the competitors either, because, the competitors are looking at that price. And, unfortunately, a lot of the customers that are average range, we see this at our shop, that somebody who's 3 miles from us that just opens up is doing a standard poodle for $70. And that's more than half off of what we charge. And it's like, it's not conducive to running a business. And eventually customers will be back because those places will shut down. But
yeah. It's really troubling, and like I said, I've been in this industry since the late '90s. A Shih Tzu, where I lived in Enfield, Connecticut, even in 2002, was between $55 and $68.
Mm-hmm.
And I see Shih Tzus in other parts of the country for $45. And I don't even know how that's even possible with like nearly 2 decades of change, regulation growth, tax changes, employee laws, all the things that we have to pay into as a business owner. It would even take the business owner aspect out of it and make it just about an employee and their life expenses, what they pay in taxes, what they, as any groomer gets older, you got to take care of the car, which is your body. You need to get oil changes. You need to get adjustments. You need to get things done all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Everything costs money.
Yeah.
And again, it's a job you can't do forever. So you have to save for things like retirement and where do you plan to move? Do you plan to buy a house? Do you have kids? What is it you're going to do with yourself? So just the idea of, I'm really good at having somebody tell me small bits of information about their finances or what their business is doing or what they're making as a groomer and figuring it out down to the minute what they earn. Like, oh my, or down to the hour as well. Like, you've been doing what you do for work for over 10 years. How on earth are you making $12 an hour?
Exactly.
And sleeping at night. I don't care if your clients tip to make up the difference. I mean, like you can go to a tattoo shop and, there's Scratch and Steve and, you pay him $50 and he'll do whatever, whatever you want within reason. And then there's the artist that's booked out a year in advance that charges $500 an hour and he's got a line out the door and people will pay it. And I think that
you worked at a tattoo parlor.
Yep. No, when I lived in Miami, I managed tattoo shops and learned all the fun stuff of the Adobe Photoshop to have people, their ideas kind of brought to life on a computer screen so they can see what they want
mm-hmm.
and see what they want to do. And I've seen people get really beautiful, customized pieces of art. And I've seen people come in with a magazine where Rihanna published her tattoos, but I want to get this cluster of stars in my neck. Like, oh wow, this is the 5,000th person to come in today asking for this tattoo. And there's a customer for every service. Mm-hmm. There are people that are gonna wanna play let's make a deal. There's going to be people that will be insulted if you're charging them under a certain amount because it makes them feel good when they spend a lot of money on services.
Right. Well, I mean, the customers that you don't want are the ones that are questioning your price that you had for.
Yeah. You want to know what? I don't even get upset about the people that are just like offended by what you're like, oh, good God, it's too rich for my bladder. I don't even pay that much for my hair. That doesn't tick me off. What ticks me off is when. We've learned
that for now. We've learned that for sure. We took over a shop that has been in business for, I think, 50 years, and it's been at the location for 30.
Wow.
So my wife started working there, and then the owner left the state, and we got the shop and its clientele at a really good price. Well, those that were new that were coming in, that we kept those prices, they would complain. But now what's happened is the clientele that we have that gets booked every 2 or 4 weeks, they don't even care. And the dogs are so good. Like the clients are good, the dogs are good. If a dog bites, my wife says, sorry, I don't want them back. It's just not worth her time. And so when we open our next shop, we're actually going to raise the price from the get-go at that new shop because it's in a more predominantly, more expensive area. So we can do that and not offend anybody. And if we do offend people, then that's not necessarily the customers that we are.
Yeah. At the end of the day, there is nothing wrong with doing less work for more money. At the end of the day, we're not spring chickens anymore. When you've had your hands in this for a long time, you don't want to do, you're not looking to bang out 40 dogs a day. You don't enjoy your work anymore. I'm mobile versus a shop, so I know the quantities of dogs are very different. But I mean, I've had a lot of changes with my business, and my commute times in the city has, as Uber and Lyft have grown, so is my commute and work, because we have a total of 93,500 idling cars a day, 24/7. So my commute times have doubled. And so I need to groom less dogs in a day, and I still need to make the same amount of money for those hours I spend driving.
Mm-hmm.
So as a result of that, prices need to go up, and the amount of dogs that I groom a day needs to go down. And you want to know what? Some people are really understanding about it. And they're just like, I understand. Happy that I made the cut, and I'm happy still to be, that's fine. Not a problem. Then there's people like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm like, I can't groom your dog for free. I'm sorry. I'm old. And, they go to a shop once. I get a message in 2 weeks saying, yeah, so that was awful. When can I get back on your schedule? The price is fine. And then some people, they just never come back. And that's fine too. I realized this past year, I don't need to get every client. I don't need to groom all the dogs. The dog population, I think this is not a unique New York problem. I think this is something that's affecting the entire country, and other countries as well, as the dog population is exceeding the groomer population. It's growing way too fast, and I can't seem to even do my due diligence to train people quick enough.
Yeah. That's something that we're going to be talking with. I know Chris Berry's going to be on the show at some point in the near future, and she's adamant about more groomer education and groomer safety and things like that. So we'll definitely touch on that as well.
100%. Chris Berry Anthony. First of all, she's incredible. I'm so happy you're having her.
Oh, she's a sweetheart. Yeah, I just met her at Hershey, and her daughter and my wife were on the IJA groom team together. So that's how she kind of met Chris. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, she's a really fantastic lady. So if you guys ever you can meet her at Atlanta Pet Fair. She's actually going to be in charge of that this year. So, but she's been in the industry for decades and just an amazing wealth of knowledge. And so she actually wants to be on the podcast multiple times, and I am not going to deny that.
No, she's awesome. So she is actually, we've been trying to set this up for the past couple of weeks to come to our shops here in New York to do our CPR certification,
Gotcha.
which is a class she does teach. She'll come to your shop. She will host up to about 15 to 20 people. Right after Hershey, I just had the bubonic plague, and I just unfortunately could not do anything except compete the best I've ever competed while dying. I don't know how.
You just got to be really sick next competition. So all your focus is on trying not to vomit all over the dog.
Yep.
Who in the industry, not in the past, but right now, would you say is your idol, and why?
Ooh.
Only one.
That's only one. That's tough. That's really tough. Okay. All right. So you can't laugh. And again, like, I really have so many. They're all so special to me. This is so hard. God, only one?
Just one.
I've narrowed it down. I've narrowed it down to two, and I feel sick over this.
All right. I tell you what, we're going to play a quick little game. You go ahead and tell me the two names. What are the two names?
All right. Jonathan David.
All right, that's the one you're talking about.
Okay. I'm going to have to mention the second one, but okay, so let me tell you why. So Jonathan David has a path that he was house call in New York City. In New York City, grooming, some of the best of the best. He went to Florida. He was doing back and forth from Florida to New York. Boom. He's doing all this great stuff, continuing education, stuff like that. He's Mr. New York to me. And when I was in grooming school and I was in Florida and when I was doing all this crap, I was like, man, I hope someday I can be Mrs. New York. Not married to him. That'd be weird because he's gay and doesn't like women. But literally, I was just like, man, this is the king of New York, man. I want to be able to, if he's gone, if he's moving, I hope I can walk into these footsteps and do him proud. And he's just such a versatile person. I really, I admired him from a business owner's perspective, as an artist perspective, and he's just such a fun, genuine, bubbly person. And I've seen this guy literally just go from being everybody's fun, approachable person, step into, you know, his booth, put a dog, throw a Bichon into profile in freaking 6 minutes. And I'm just saying, like, man, this guy's incredible. Great. And now, literally, there are so many people that have influenced me in the past couple of years. The runner-up, Sue Watson.
Okay.
Sue Watson, you know what? She was one of the secondary most impressionable industry leaders from when I was a little wee one. And I loved how she broke down animal handling. She's so good with difficult dogs. And if you've ever seen this woman do a demo, and some of the dogs she's given for her demos are awful. Like, just awful dogs. They're just rotten to the core. And I know, because I've been the person that handed my sister-in-law's terrible, awful dog, Brownie. He's not a nice dog at all. He's got an attitude problem. I bathed him. I fluffed him up. I gave him to Sue. And I said, he's got an attitude problem. She said, I got that covered. And she is able. She grooms him. She literally, like, she has this way with difficult dogs. And it's not even a technique. I don't even think you can really teach it. It's just something that just emulates out of your soul, where the dog's like, whoa, I'm not effing with her. Nope, not today. Okay, here's my foot. Here's my face. It's how she carries herself. She puts out these alpha dog hormones, and she can handle anything with a smile and with grace. And her teaching styles have evolved beautifully and have kept up with the times and exceeded them in the past 20 years that I've seen her.
Awesome. Yeah.
But there's so many other ones. It's so bad. You really put me in a.
I know that you'll be happy to hear that Jonathan David is going to be on the podcast in the near future. So we.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So he's literally.
What flavor pizza are you eating right now?
Oh my God, you can hear me? I thought you couldn't hear me. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. It's real. We keep it real here.
It's Sicilian upside down pizza.
Okay, which, by the way, us in Florida, my coworker is from New York, and he's like, the pizza down here sucks. So I have no idea.
Oh, it's awful.
I have nothing to compare it to. You obviously being in Florida, and now you're in New York, you have something to compare it to. Is it really that big of a difference?
Yeah, no. I lived in Florida for a long time, as mentioned before, and after leaving the north and going down south, it was the driest pizza time of my life. I couldn't understand the difference until I was working at a place called Dream Hotel, and the rooftop I worked for was High Bar, and then the restaurant portion was called Tudor House. It was a Jeffrey Zakarian property. Absolutely loved working there. Anyways, once I was having shift meal, for those who are not in the food and beverage industry, one of the biggest perks is they feed you. So you don't have to go grocery shopping. You show up 30 minutes before your shift, they will feed you. You will never have to buy groceries again. So I would show up, they have a bunch of baked bread, and the company was called Brooklyn Water Bagel. I was like, yeah, they want to be Brooklyn, but they can't be. And I went to bite of this bagel, and it just took me back. It took me back to 1970s New York City. I'm not that old. I was born in '83, but I just let me go with this. It was just like, right. like it was like biting into perfection. And they actually, this company said, the water is what makes New York's bagels and pizzas and pastries the best. So they built this giant tank and remineralized the water to create the pizza dough and the bread to taste just like the ones in New York. Wow. And it's true. All right, like in Miami, all the pizza down there, if it doesn't come from Brooklyn Water Bagel, it's just so unsatisfying. It's just, it's,
You can't explain it, huh?
it's just,
Oh,
it's literally, it's like, oh God, what's the name of that horrible seltzer drink everybody's been getting into again lately? What's the name of it?
LaCroix?
Yeah, LaCroix. It's as disappointing as LaCroix.
Gotcha.
It's like getting pennies for Halloween. It's just, it's so bad.
Listen,
And in New York, listen, you know what I'm going to do? When I come down to Florida,
Yes.
I'm personally carrying a pizza from New York City from my favorite pizzeria. I'm going to bring it on the freaking plane as my emotional pizza that I have to carry, that I stroke in comfort as I go to Florida. And, yeah, and I am going to bring you and your beautiful wife a giant pizza from New York. You are going to take a bite of it. You're going to be like, we need to move.
Yeah, as in like, we're going to need to move to the bathroom because it got moldy on your trip.
No, New York City pizza is resilient. It's amazing. It's literally like, and there are so many things I hate about New York. So I'm not one of those New Yorkers like, my city's the best city. We're great at everything. New York is horrible at everything. But
Awesome.
Pizza, they don't mess it up. Pizza and bagels, like
listen,
they got that down.
We're gonna take you up on that offer, and also you're gonna whip us up an amazing drink that you learned bartending as well.
Jules, you're in for a special treat. You're in
Awesome.
for a very, very, very special treat.
Awesome.
In fact, I will email you the recipes of my Bloody Mary selections, and you get to pick the spirit and the garnish to be made for your personal Bloody Mary.
Done. That sounds good. For you guys that are like figuring out like what the hell are they talking about? So Laura and we actually hit it off when we had just a pre-call like a week ago. And my wife and I we rent out kind of like a home away / Airbnb place when we go to the Orlando grooming show. It's just kind of fun to do. You know, you bring some friends and stuff, and found an amazing like villa for cheaper than what we paid last year at this like Disney mansion place or whatever. And so we put it out there for people to pay for like 4 nights. I think the total was $150. And the lady that I talked to was like, yeah, sure. If you have competition dogs, we love furry friends, blah, blah, blah. So I put it out there and told my wife, I'm like, look, you're going to love Laura. Like we hit it off in like 10 minutes. So I'm going to invite her. And she goes, okay. So Laura is going to be staying with us in a month. And, we're not crazy people by any means, but yeah, I'm definitely, we're going to hit it off in terms of pizza. We're going to get some alcohol in us, and we're going to have an amazing time.
I'm really excited for this show. I'm actually I'm actually more excited for this show than any of my other shows that I was past this year. This year, I'm going with a completely different frame of mind. I'm actually not going to compete. I am going to learn. I'm going to basically be Open's bucket bee. So anybody needs help, I'm there to help. I'm there to watch. I'm there to study. I'm there to watch our heavy hitters up front, see what they go through in their shows. Because most of the time when I'm competing, I'm looking down and I'm like, damn it, why does my Bichon not look like that? And, I try to like watch what I can and do what I can. But, this time around, I am mainly going to watch, listen, look, and learn, to try to absorb as much as I can to help my fellow competitors with whatever they need help with, whatever it's dog walks or whatever. That's what I'm there for. So I'm very, very, very excited.
Can I make a suggestion for you?
Sure.
I think that you're so down to earth, and yet you're so looked up to. I really think that if you're able to still be in the moment, but at the same time, maybe like document it / do a diary of like what you see and what like you to kind of teach others. I think that would be an amazing opportunity for others to kind of see through your eyes.
I would absolutely love to do that, because before my role in the shows when I first started going, first it was just hitting the bucks, and then following up after that, it was documenting everything. And I would walk around, go on Facebook Live, promoting all my favorite vendors, asking about their latest products, talking to the competitors, and all this crazy stuff. And so I used to record all of it. And then when I started competing, it just didn't feel right about having a camera in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be, learning all these new things about competing. My first time competing, I didn't know anything about the etiquette in there. After I was done, I was bouncing around talking to everyone. I had no idea that I should be like shutting up, standing there presenting my dog. And got a really, really hardcore lesson in that real quick. So it's, I try to take it very, very, very seriously. And, I'm a very fun, happy-go-lucky person. It's these past couple of years of competing. I now understand why every time I'd go to a dog show prior to competing, I'd see the competitors and they always look like they were pissed off. And I'd be like, I don't understand. They seem so friendly on the internet. Why are they being so mean now? Mm-hmm. And I get it because I see that same bitch face in myself now. So focused, so much on the line, just lots of self-hate, lots of doubting yourself, and lots of just, feeling like you're going to throw up in the trash can every 15 minutes.
Which in Hershey. So. Yep,
absolutely.
But no,
absolutely.
I totally agree with you because my wife, when she actually won her first place competition, like in IJA in Louisiana in April or May this past year,
mm-hmm.
so over the moon. I was like tearing up, like literal tears because I was so happy for her. And she's telling me to go away because she's like, oh, they're not done yet. They're still like, and I'm like, I just wanted to go up and hug her, but she's like, no, you can't do that. So I totally understand. You're in this, it's the whole seriousness of it. It is definitely the focus. It's all the time put into it. I get it.
It really is. And you know what? I know we, prior, when we were just, shooting the breeze a couple days ago, we were talking about this. So many people say like, oh, I want to compete. I'm just not ready yet. I literally, that's no reason to not compete. Literally, nobody goes into that ring unless they're Lindsay Dickin. So are these Lindsay Dickin plugins bothering anyone yet? Because I absolutely love her. I have the theory that she just literally was born to scissor Bijans. It's incredible to watch, and it's amazing, and I love it. But anyways, it's nobody just walks into the ring just knowing all the things and knowing all the stuff. Everybody literally goes through a process. The only way that things actually just kind of penetrate like into my head and sticks and I understand it is by going all out, getting in the ring, failing, and getting that critique and reapplying it the next time, and failing, getting that critique and reapplying it the next time. And then it repeats itself. And then after you've really just been broken for 4 or 5 months in a row, and you go and compete, and you put your head down after you're done with your dog, you're proud of your work, you look at your dog and you're like, I'll do better next time. This isn't right. I know I should have angled more here. I should have had more here. My blow dry isn't perfect. And, it's okay. I'm going to take him home. I'm going to bathe him, fluff him out again. We'll practice next week. And then they announce your freaking name that you placed. And then you look up and you're so shocked and you're just in disbelief. No, I don't deserve this. That's when you win. When you realize that, when you just stop just thinking in your head, like, I did a good job, I got this. It's when you literally let your guard down and you're your own worst critic.
I personally felt that this was a perfect spot to end part 1 because Laura herself explains, and this is unrehearsed, exactly what we were talking about in episode 3 about just getting out there and competing and learning as you go. She even talks about a couple minutes before the end of the episode, you got to keep failing and keep failing and keep failing. And then eventually, you're going to do amazing. And deep down inside, you're going to think that you can do even better, which that's only going to make the grooming industry better. So part 2 will actually come out on October 14th because I already have it. So I don't need to schedule her to speak again for part 2, obviously. So October 14th, you guys can look at that. And then on October 21st, we will be having Brian Cuoco, who just won Up and Coming Groomer of the Year at Barkley at Hershey. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and just take care of this. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in. tell all your friends and groomers about us, and we appreciate you guys very much. And a big thank you to Laura Jayne as well. It was a pleasure speaking with you. We appreciate all of you out there who are following and enjoying the podcast. If you could leave a glowing review for Grooming Unleashed, it would mean a lot to us, as well as sharing with your grooming friends, coworkers, bosses, and anyone else in the industry. It would mean a lot. It also would mean a lot if you would visit our sponsor, Loyalty Pet Products, at www.loyaltypetproducts.com. And don't forget, you can use the code UNLEASHED to save 10% off of your next order. Thank you very much for our sponsorship, Loyalty Pet Products, and thank you to all of you guys who are listening to us at Grooming Unleashed. We appreciate you and your support. Thank you very much for listening to Grooming Unleashed, and if you guys could share this with your grooming friends, it would be much appreciated. Please click on the subscribe button below, as well as if you hit the little bell, it will notify you when we have a new episode for you. Have a wonderful day, everybody.